We're here as a type of spiritual education process. We're in this type of brightly colored, hard, manifest physical world as a type of young spiritual being that's going through an educational process. And in this world, the consequences of wrong action, or what they call unskillful means in the Buddhist tradition, will be immediately present. You'll become ill if you don't have harmony in your daily life. You will create destruction in the relationships around you. There's immediate consequences in this hard physical world, but it allows us to become more self-aware, because what you'll find is that there's a gift of being incarnated in the physical world that's talked about in many traditions. After death, when a person is in the spiritual world with no physical body, it's actually a world that is extremely dynamic. Everything is constantly flowing and weaving together, and it takes advanced forms of consciousness to be able to discern between different things in this mobile, flowing, non-physical world, and to be able to find our own way in that world. On the physical world, it's much more simple and straightforward. So it's during that time that we're in the physical world that we are much more self-aware, and we can actually focus our consciousness and activity to develop higher states of awareness that we can use both to be more successful in the physical world and to begin to perceive the invisible world and be somewhat autonomous after the death process. You'll find that virtually every tradition has some information about preparing here for what comes next, as well as virtually all classical tradition before the modern monotheistic traditions talk about this as a constant cycle of incarnation and then death. And through every time that we go through that, there's a type of alchemical crystallization at the next stage in our lives. But you also have to take what's known classically as the draft of forgetfulness, which means that you have to forget everything that happened before, everything that you were before you incarnated, and start from scratch. I often have a metaphor of this that comes from the British military, where in the Special Air Service, to graduate, they take you out into the Scottish moors. And they say you have to find your way from out here in the hinterlands of the Scottish moors back to civilization over hundreds of miles. And all you can have is the material in one backpack. And so they make you jump off the back of the truck, and they're going to throw you your backpack. And then they hold on to the backpack, pull off, and wave bye-bye. You're out there in the middle of nowhere and have to find your way over hundreds of thousands of miles to your destination with no support material. And this is part of the incredible courage and spiritual dignity that human beings have to go through this process. And there's many indications in many traditions about how much the higher spiritual beings actually respect human beings for going through taking the draft of forgetfulness, showing up as a completely helpless infant in the physical world, and having to go through this whole process of learning time and time again.